Hello and welcome to Raising Anchor, your podcast and source for all things Rhode Island FC. I'm your host, Matt Entrikin, and this is your Monday Mailbag for June 23rd, 2025. As you can see, we've got a full house tonight here in the studio with not only the co-host with the most, Jason Carey, but yet another special guest for another very special mailbag here with El Jefe, president of Defiance 1636. Ervin, we're going to start things off with you. Ervin Vargas, how are you doing, my friend?
Doing good, guys. It was a lovely day today. It was nice, hot. As you guys know, I come from this type of climate, so I love it very much. So I'm happy. Got to do some grilling, got to do some steaks, some tortilla, arroz. Did it with some friends. Loved it. So I'm very happy to be on the show and let's get this mailbag going.
He's happy now, but wait till he gets to the questions in a little bit. And he may be under fire himself. This will be a fun one, though. And always, it's so good to have you. I think back, we haven't seen you in maybe like a year. I think you get like there's that Defiance special that we always kind of do. And just being able to sit here and get your thoughts tonight and make sure that it's in a family-friendly way.
Absolutely.
Super excited, because we know how passionate you get as the front man over in section 11. What was it? 117, 116, and 115.
Yeah.
We're up in the 200s. We never keep track of you guys down there. Jason, how are things over there with you, my friend?
Doing pretty good. Not thinking about the results this weekend. I have also been enjoying the warm weather outside. It's been nice. You know, I like that variety, you know, all the seasons. Cold and the hot, you know, take all with what I can get.
We learned from the hills that margaritas are actually, in fact, Gatorades.
I mean, they've got sugar and salt in them. I mean, what does Gatorade have in it?
Exactly.
Sugar and salt.
Exactly. So anyone that says you can't drink, just say you're rehydrating to be dehydrated to rehydrate yet again. It's a vicious circle. So we are live tonight. So we will try to get to questions in the chat. This is the first time we've been live on a mailbag. We usually get all of your thoughts,
one time,
comments, concerns, especially coming after a loss. I just want to set things up almost as a moderator tonight. We're going to try to be super clean and crispy tonight so that we can get to the chats in the comment. But I will tell everyone now that if the comments get out of control in the chat, that we will just start ignoring them. So be warned, everyone that's participating along, that we will try to incorporate you guys in. And also we encourage to get your comments and questions in earlier, whether it's through one of our social media channels, through the email submission form, or on Discord. Well, we scrape all of them there, and that's how it goes. So we'll start things off. Jason, let's get right into this with kind of the fan feeling impressions. Jake404 wrote in, people are complaining about the refs, and it has to stop. Good teams don't rely on referee calls to win games. It's just an excuse to cover up bad play. The better team won tonight. There were no promises in the attack again. You want to win games, stop complaining about the refs every single game. It's getting old. Overall thoughts?
I mean, I have to agree with him. There are certain times when maybe the game feels closer and it's really frustrating because you feel like that one opportunity maybe could have given you the chance. But in a game like, you know, this past weekend's, we were played off the field in the second half there. So sure. We have gotten one play to go our way, maybe got a scrappy goal. Like we deserved it. I don't know. But I'm just, you know, unless it's incredibly egregious, I just kind of ignore the rest for the most part.
I mean, we've only had one penalty so far this season, so it makes you wonder, you know, are we not getting those calls? But at the same time, good teams don't rely on those calls to go their way in the first place. Ervin, any thoughts on the refereeing overall? I mean, we know it's USL. We know that it will always, at best, be average, and at worst, be ruining our night. I mean, you've watched the game at all levels. Is this something that comes to your mind very often? Like, I want to blame it on the ref. I don't want to blame it on Conno and the 11 he picked.
Well, I mean, this is the best league in the world. So, I mean, we have the biggest league. The biggest league in the world. Exactly. So, I mean, while I do sometimes, I mean, as a fan, I'm always in the stands, you know, blaming the ref for everything. Looking back at it, you can clearly see that, like, you know, there was nothing to kind of like take away from the ref. The ref did his job. And, I mean, you really can't blame the ref for a free kick that was beautifully gone right into the net, and then of course the other goal as well, like a good shot. So I mean, fair play to Sacramento. I mean, like it was a great match, and the ref might have had like a little bit of tweaks here and there, but like other than that, you can't really blame the ref for this game. It was a solid game. We just did not show up.
What's the next one there, Jason?
All right. Booth Hill Brewing here says, tough match. They had another good game of controlling the possession. They lacked the energy they had last week. I think they missed Amos in the midfield. They couldn't get any action in the middle of the field as they were forced out wide. And once again, they could not get any quality shots on goal. Everything was high. Lastly, those 2 goals Lee let in were bad. I mean, make a stop. On to the next week. Let's go.
I like that he's both, giving the constructive criticism, the feedback, and then also the positive words of encouragement, endearment at the end. I also like that Booth Hill Brewing wrote out the word bad with the extra hyphens to just really reinforce BAD here. Did you know that bad, by the way, is not good? I don't know if you guys ever paid attention, but was this game bad?
I mean, it's pretty good Michael Jackson song.
But overall, was this game good? I mean, we didn't even go into it because we have so much to talk about, and fans don't really want to be reminded about this 2-0 blowout at home. It's another game where we fail to score. That seems to be the track record here at Centerville Bank Stadium, not being able to find the net. Other teams seem very comfortable. I don't know if this was a bad game or if this was a Sacramento Republic side that was rejuvenated from their shellacking by Mark Briggs midweek. What was this? Like, if we really walk it back here for a second, was this a bad game or is this a bad team?
I'd say it's a bad game. I think there's a good team in there. We've only seen them in brief spells and brief periods. There's, as maybe we'll get to a little bit later here, Coach mentioned consistency is kind of the issue. These players have the talent in them. A lot of them came from last season, and the pieces we picked up are good pieces. So it's kind of odd to see how poor at times this team performs. I don't know what the answer is. Seems like maybe Coach doesn't either at this point. It doesn't help that we keep getting injuries, though, right? I mean, Amos and Zach missed out tonight. I mean, 2 players who have kind of been there a lot for us this season.
Weird, considering we didn't have Amos on our radar, really, to be this kind of differentiation in the starting 11, let alone in the depth pieces, since he was just completely absent last season. Ervin, you've watched a lot of soccer in your life across the globe. Is this a bad team right now?
No, I think this was just a bad game. I just feel like sometimes these things happen, and I mean, as I've said before, games like this are going to happen, and I mean, sometimes we're going to have seasons like this. Season's not over, so I really can't say that we've had a really bad season, but it was just a bad game. I think that hopefully, like many others, they're probably putting a positive spin in it. I hope they can come in a little stronger on Friday. But I mean, it was just a bad game, and I hopefully they have it in their heads that they need to, do a little bit better and then just go to the next one.
Dickford 1283 writes in, having a rough time this year. And I want to go to a comment from Jason in the chat. I think this may be the key, at least for this last match. If it's not a bad team, but it was a bad game, is the culprit that this was a bad lineup. Leo writes later in about, the formation we looked at. We had a question for Coach Conno in the chat, or in the interview, which we're going to put in a second. But before we get to that, because I don't want to spoil it for Ervin, who wasn't in there, was this a bad lineup? Is that then what happened here?
I mean, oops, all defenders. I mean, it's, I know 2 injuries popped up, but I mean, if you look at the bench, I think that there were some other opportunities to kind of mold that team in a different way.
I think it's very condemning that he did not want to see Noah Fuson take the pitch as a starter and put more attack into the front side, and was more comfortable positioning that many center backs into roles that we necessarily didn't need, considering the fact that we knew as a possession team we were going to struggle against Sacramento, and we also knew that Sacramento hadn't been scoring goals. They were rather lethargic, so they weren't necessarily going to be this hot attack that we needed to concern ourselves with and envelope around to make sure they didn't get near net. Instead, we went the opposite direction. Was that the right move? I mean, not putting Joe Brito to start. We know that he hasn't necessarily put together complete performances. When he gets to start, he's better as the rotational or the substitute. But Noah Fuson, and given his form, like, these are the moments where you say, okay, Noah's not having a good game, Chico's not having a good game, but where else do you go? Is this telling for Noah Fuson then that we went with Rio Hope Gunn as the 6th alternate than Noah Fuson?
I mean, yeah, the lineup kind of shook me a little bit, honestly. Like when somebody told me like they're all defenders, I'm like, so I'm thinking like, well, I don't know what they're doing here. So I mean, the setup was a bit weird. The only thing I could think of was that maybe they're preparing themselves for the Jägermeister. I mean, right now they are clean. There's nothing going on in the Jägermeister. They are undefeated in the Jägermeister, and they're pretty close. I mean, if they win against Portland, if I'm not mistaken, that should secure them first place, if I'm not mistaken, especially if they score a ton of goals.
I think a draw or a win against Portland advances them automatically.
So, I mean, I don't know if that's coach's way of just like, prioritizing the cup that he knows that maybe he can go a little bit further on, or it could just be the injuries. I don't know. I mean, like, I did not see Amos being in the injury report. Like, I honestly didn't see that coming until somebody showed me like he's injured. I was like, that's crazy.
It's an interesting time, but we'll put Coach Conno's words up because I think it's important here that we get to hear what he had to say about it. Some questions, again, second week in a row here where not really happy given the fact that he had to respond to the loss in Louisville with the press corps, and now this loss. The North Carolina game almost feels like it's been lost in the mix here when it comes to his opinion on things. So here is Coach Conno Smith.
Very disappointing. We lacked pop, poor defensive errors. Yeah, we need to find consistency from somewhere. But yeah, overall not good enough. Not what we want to be, not intense enough. Pretty poor performance.
Coach, this was the most changes you made between lineups the entire season. Can you walk us through what kind of set that up considering the momentum from last week's win?
What do you mean by most changes?
So you haven't had this much roster change from game to game the entire season. Can you is it injuries? Is it?
Yeah, did you see the injury report? Yeah, we had multiple guys that started last week that were on the injury report.
What was the situation with Amos? He obviously trained yesterday. Did something happen between training and this afternoon? What went into that?
Did you see him train yesterday?
I thought you saw him on the field yesterday. No?
He was on the field. He didn't train.
Okay. The group you put out there, what did you want to see from them in that first 45? What they need to do to kind of make Sacramento defensive or try and take advantage of what Sacramento was doing?
I don't think we handled their press well. We looked scared. We looked intimidated. Like, we knew they were going to be aggressive and press. But, yeah, we couldn't. We didn't adjust. Didn't find a spare guy.
Coach, how do you get this team on track? You're in the top of the standings for the USL Jägermeister Cup. That's going to be the next game the following week. How do you take this as a lesson and make sure that you were able to stay on top of the standings going into next week's Friday game?
It's going to be more of the same. Portland's got energy. They got intensity. They press hard. They're aggressive. So, yeah, we need to learn from it. But we need to find a way to be consistency and get back to what we were last year. We were aggressive. We were intense. We made people feel uncomfortable, like how Sacramento made us feel today. So we need to get back to ourselves. But we also need to get our key players performing. Their key players performed. Pirano was amazing. Rodrigo Lopez, amazing free kick. Our difference makers are not making a difference. So I need to figure out why that is, but they also need to figure out why that is.
Line on that.
He's training. I don't exactly have a timeline. Next couple of weeks, it's just when he's strong enough and feels good enough to play. But yeah, hopefully soon.
Is it an excuse to say this group of guys hasn't, what you put out there today is a little different than what you've been playing all season? Or do the guys who go out there, they just have to do the job?
No excuses. We had 18 players on the roster. They're on the roster for a reason, so I'm not going to make any excuses or give anybody any excuse. Wasn't good enough.
So that's Conno. I mean, honestly, he's you got to understand in these moments he's deflated, right? Like, you're coming off of a loss. I thought it was really important for him to recognize how good Sacramento played. I have some opinions about it. I think that Sacramento made our team look pedestrian at times. But the really key piece here that, Jason, I want to first kind of go to you. He talked about the inconsistency of this group, right? And we've seen this in the results now. We can string together 2 wins. We haven't been able to string together 3. But then we win 1, we lose 1, right? It seems to kind of be the track record of the season. But then he also mentioned, like, our differentiation makers, like the players that we need to be able to make those moments, create those chances, make this team earn the result they need to have. They're not doing it right now. And of course, it's the same thing back a couple weeks ago. He didn't put names out there, but there's something about the system for Conno ball that I don't think we've addressed. And we talked about it on the drive home after the game. And I want to kind of just like bring this full circle to you right now. Is this a question of Conno tactic or Conno's player selection when it comes to how he's constructing these rosters? Because he says he needs his players to play any position that he wants, but then when they don't deliver, then does he, I mean, he owns it, he's the coach, but then does he own that he didn't set up tactically correctly? Or did he do that and the players aren't rising to the occasion of the expectation?
Yeah, so we had a conversation after this about, and like how he mentioned, certain players are not kind of meeting the expectations. And this is just my opinion. Obviously, I am not a coach. I have incredible respect for Conno. He took our team to the final last year. But when I look at our roster and you look at our defenders, you look at our midfielders, they're all very comfortable on the ball. But then when you get to the front line and when you're trying to play possession football, like think about the type of players, you know, obviously big names is just comparison wise, but think about the type of players who play possession football. Generally, they're like diminutive like cams who are very comfortable holding the ball, able to make passes in tight areas, continue to cycle the ball around, look for those like passes to kind of create chances. And I think about players like Quizera, you know, even Maxi to a certain extent, and JJ and Chico and Noah. And I just don't feel like that is a possession type of attack. What really worked for us really well was that transition. Obviously, these are all very talented technical players, but I don't think they're possession type players. I just don't know if I see that in our game.
It sounds like his tactics are more advanced than the player's skill that we have right now.
Or they haven't caught up to it. And that's why maybe it's just we're still struggling. Maybe this is one of those things where maybe in a few weeks or a month, I'll look like an idiot. And like, hey, if we're winning and scoring goals, I'll be happy. I don't care. But it just feels like at this point, we have an issue where it's just not working in terms of our attack, because our defenders and our midfielders are doing to a certain extent what we want them to do. We're just not getting the goals up front.
And I think that is where you have to then ask, has Conno set himself up for success? I think of everything you just said. And to me, when you're looking for that player, that playmaker, it feels like if Conno is more about getting the people that have the versatility and the ability to go out and play that style, that's why we went after Maxi. He was supposed to be the X factor here. And I'm not saying he's not playing a good season. It's just he's not living to that maybe higher level of expectation. And so when you don't have that truly creative player, because I think we haven't had the spark in the midfield. I think we're good at the wings, but I think when you look centrally, we get too fancy, but we don't do it with purpose. We don't move it where we need it to go. And Maxi hasn't been that player. Most of the time we see him drop deep to collect the ball, or we see him way too high up on the line where he can't split. He can't connect the midfield to the back line, and he can't connect the midfield to the front line. And I think that's a problem. Ervin, curious, do you think this is a player selection or a tactics issue? Like based on what Jason's saying, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of people have said it to me already that like they have a feeling that the central is kind of like lacking in some ways, and I feel like I kind of agree with Jason. Like I feel like there's something there that isn't working, and I don't know.
Like Matt Hand says, Quizera and Noah were pretty big, important parts of our attack last year, and they really haven't lived up to it. I know Quizera
looked much better this game.
He did,
in the left,
especially after the previous game where he just didn't look like he was even in it at all. But the problem is we relied on him a lot last year for dribbles and creating chances, and we're just not getting that as much this year.
And I would say Matt also said we're awful on the wings. What I mean by that is that's the only place our attack is moving forward primarily. We aren't able to connect through the central vertical columns. We're not able to link more than 2 passes before we have to recycle the ball. Like if you count the passing sequences in the last game, it took 3 to 5 passes to move the ball forward. Sacramento was able to do it in 1 to 2. Like they were running in shape. And that's the other part to it, which is why I agree with you a little bit, Jason, on maybe this is the individual performances. Sacramento is a team playing a team sport. Like when you will go back and watch them especially from anyone that was in the 200s, whether it was offensively or defensively, they would run as a collective unit. You almost knew where they were going to pass because like that's the drill that they've been practicing. Like, I'll be in one of these 3 positions, and they would move with intent. Rhode Island FC doesn't do that. Rhode Island FC stretches the field. 3 players kind of move around wherever the ball is, and the rest of the players just kind of stand there like traffic cones at times. Like they wait for the action to come to them versus come to the action. And only after the ball's been in our back line for maybe 60 to 90 seconds does a player start to run a little deeper and stretch that, try to break that high press. Sacramento, I still can't figure out if Sacramento's legitimate or if we just played that bad that we made them look so good. I don't know. It's tough to say, but it was interesting nevertheless. Let's get in here really fast to Klay's answers on how he felt. And to be fair too, I wanted Grant Stoneman because he was the captain of the team. And like, when they're bad, you got to go for one of the leaders. Mm-hmm. Klay is absolutely a leader of this team, but I was surprised that we got him in the mix versus kind of another player. So here is Klay Holstead. Before we get into the match itself, can you walk us back through the Providence Journal awards last week and what that honor meant to you?
To fight till the end. So I think we still had.
Before we get into the match itself, can you walk us back through the Providence Journal awards last week and what that honor meant to you and being able to be the guest speaker there?
I mean, it was awesome being able to see, kids that were right where I was at one point. And so seeing how happy they were to receive their awards, it's kind of nice to know that like Rhode Island soccer's getting the attention now. But I mean, it was great seeing all the different kids just so ecstatic to give effort to what I was doing at some point in my life, from basically every sport to even like the integrated special needs kids. So it was awesome. I really enjoyed it, and I'm kind of just thankful that I got to do it.
Were you aware that your and Fusan's kits are the only 2 that are customized in the retail store at this point? Were you aware of that?
No, I did not know that.
No pressure there.
Oh, no. Oh, no. I might go buy one. Get my sales and head as his.
How do you walk us through the game?
I mean, I think we had a decent start. I think they're still they got in a couple times, a couple 1v1s from just kind of mishaps, whether it was a ball that got him behind to someone switched off or just somehow a runner came out of nowhere. But I think for the most part, the first half we played really well. We created several chances. We still have that knack of we're just struggling to buy a goal at this point. But, I mean, second half was just kind of what you saw. I'm not going to say it lacked intensity, but just kind of almost seems like it lacked willingness from us. So whether we need to work on whether final third, defending, or I don't know, that's something to talk with the coaching staff and with the team about what we felt. But after that free kick, at that point, we're chasing the game, making changes. Conno's trying to give us the best opportunity to win by making changes, moving guys around, and then I think it's still just on us to fight till the end. So I think we're still creating those opportunities, and to the 90th minute, like we always do, it's just at some point we're going to have to figure out how to, actually take those chances, and we're not going to be able to shut out every single team all the year, so we're going to have to figure out how to score some goals too.
How frustrating is it? It feels like Pittsburgh was like this, Miami was like this. How frustrating is it, and how do you turn it around? Is it easy or is it hard to do?
I mean, I think you're still trying to harp on the same small things that we've always done, but I mean, we're going to go watch film and just hopefully, come together as a team and just come up with, try to come up with the answers. I can't really tell you exactly what it is right now. After post-game, it's always hard because, when you're in it, you have so many emotions, it's hard to look at it from a bird's eye view, but I don't know. At this moment, I think it's just go in and, it's a long season, so we're definitely not out of it by any means, but we just need to tweak a couple things here and there, and I think we'll get on a little bit of a streak.
The pieces are here, right? You guys feel like if you could put it together and do what you did last year.
Yeah, you see it comes in stints. It's just they're still just missing the little things. It comes in 10, 15-minute stints where you see the team that we're creating chances, we're dominating, we're winning second balls. But I think it's just maybe lapses here and there, ball doesn't go our way, and we need to figure out, if a bounce isn't going our way or if the momentum's not in our favor, how can we weather a storm for 10 minutes and then get back to what we were doing instead of conceding in those opportunities.
Is it even more difficult when you face a team that's just looking to spoil and not really allowing you to play?
No, I mean, yeah, but every team's going to be different. So, I mean, obviously you want to have your identity of what you want to try to do coming to the game, but once you get into a game, you have to do what the team's giving you. So if a team's letting us play out, giving us a ton of time, I mean, that's what you do. And if a team like today that's going to press super high and give us time, like spacing behind, then I think that we needed to adjust and start playing balls behind. We had several where Deke was getting in, I got in a few times, Frank was in behind. So I think it's just reading what the team's giving you. That's just part of soccer. So you have your identity, but if you're not willing to adapt, then I mean that's just part of it.
Last week we heard from players that it was about getting the small details, doing the little things right. With all of this change, both in the lineup construction and like what you were saying, how coach was trying to make the adjustments. As a player, does that sometimes feel like it's too much to play the game plan that you want to play, or did all of that happen and you just couldn't see the result that you wanted on the match?
I mean, with how it's always going to be hard with that many changes. I mean, today we had 5 center backs on the field, so injuries happen. So this happened at the beginning of season 2 where we had 8 guys out. So I think that's just part of it, and just being able to be like fluid. We have so many guys that play so many different positions. So I think tonight, even if this happens, like frankly, we just have to be able to adjust. So, I mean, guys are going to play different spots. Other guys are going to have to step up, and that it just is what it is. If it didn't, it's going to happen in a 34-game season, whatever it is. So, I think tonight it's not really, I wouldn't put any excuses on that. It's more just we have to step up to what the challenge is, and every week's a new challenge. So,
Can stepping on a league play next week help you out, get you a different mindset? Is that good that you're playing a cup game next week?
I mean, yes and no. I think it's still the same. It's just like any other game. Come into it, same mentality, and I mean, win there, and just you can still gain momentum. Even though it's not a league game, you can still gain momentum from wins. So hopefully we start a win streak at some point, and we always say good teams do something in 3, and we haven't won 3 in a row yet. So whether it's 3 shots in a row, 3 wins in a row, we need to figure out how to get on some type of streak, and then just extend from there.
All right, that was Klay Holstead. Ervin, first question to you here. Is Klay Holstead going to be one of the best coaches in soccer down the road? And in addition to that, what were your overall thoughts about what he had to say about the game?
Well, for starters, hell yeah. I think he's just the right amount of chill where he'll be a good coach, but when it's time to get into the gritty, he'll put aguante in it. So, which I like about players when they put the hustle. But after hearing what he has to say, that yeah, he's absolutely right. I mean, hopefully this game against Portland starts something. I mean, I feel like a lot of people forget that a win in the end of the day is a win, and having it at home, it just bolsters morale. It bolsters just everybody in the stadium. And I mean, like I said, this game is important. It's a cup game. We haven't lost a cup game. So I feel like, he's absolutely right. So hopefully it gets that in their heads. It seems like, from what it sounds like, they know that they're in a bit of a struggle right now. They know that they're not performing to the way they want to. So, I mean, hopefully coming into Friday, they got in a short week, time to put that aguante. And, Klay, he showed it. He showed it in that match. He was all over the pitch. And I feel like he was that, to me, how I saw Amos and most of the other places put grit.
It was interesting to see, they definitely didn't want to be there anymore, given the fact there was the 10-minute fireworks, maybe 20 minutes even when you count the show and the prep. I was surprised to see everyone already dressed back into their regular clothes, showered and cleaned up. As soon as we left the press room, they were all already getting, they did not want to be there. There's a question a little bit later that I'm going to be really curious about your answer. Jason, overall thoughts on the Klay part of the interview? Did he say all the right things? Is there something that you caught as something different that we weren't expecting to hear from him?
No. I mean, I think he said the right things, as, he wasn't the captain, but he does give off the leadership vibes. He's one of those players I don't think anyone could ever question. I think even when he's having a bad game, you'll probably see on the pitch that he's hustling and he's trying, and maybe just it's off. He's just missing things, as opposed to him not putting the effort out there. I mean, in terms of buying a goal, though, I mean, that kind of is the problem. Maybe inflation hit RAFC too hard. I don't know, but it does feel like
we're paying that APR financing. The 26% rate kicked in after month 13, and we can't afford one right now.
We're running out. We spent too much of them on that Miami game.
Brett Johnson got that 0% interest for year one, and we didn't get it all.
But like we talked about this. If the team was at least scoring more goals, I feel like even if the records were still the same, like if we still lost, but we were scoring goals at home and away, I feel like people would at least be a little more excited.
We'd say it's not enough versus what is going on. Yeah,
the problem is there's really just not a lot to be excited right now about this team, especially at home. You go there, it's a brand new stadium. It's beautiful. The vibes are fun. It's good to see everyone there. But then the play on the pitch, there's good moments, flicks and tricks, but at least a goal or two extra, I think, would go a long way, even if the results weren't going our way.
I think of the three most exciting games that happened besides goals galore last season at Bern, and they were all draws. The home opener, the inaugural season opener, New Mexico, the July 5th game against Indy 11 with that come behind Zach Harivo late into the game where we equalized, and that was a 3-3. So 1-1, 3-3. And I think of the first Sacramento Republic game where we first saw JJ Williams and Jack P. And like
2-2,
that was a fun game. Like those three games were probably three of the best soccer matches that did not end with us, buying that final goal to get us across the finish line. And so from that perspective, I agree. I think this team is struggling in form right now, but I think the bigger problem isn't the losses that are accumulating. I think it's the fact that like fans aren't entertained. There's a entertainment value that is on life support because we can't get goals in front of fans. I think if it went the other way and they could sing Psycho Killer a little bit more often, they'd want to be in this. And like we've been talking now, I don't know about how you've been setting up in the Defiance side of things, Ervin, but we've started to prep for that backslide because I've seen this having done internship programs for MLS podcasts before. I've seen when a team is out of form, your participation just plummets. And so like now as we start to see fans checking it out, but not really committed to it, like they dip their feet into the pool, but they haven't cannonballed in. Like I'm ready for like, we're doing everything right as a podcast, as a social media thing, but the numbers may just stop not being there because the club's got to do their part, right? Like Conno and the guys have to do their part so that the front office and the marketing can do their part. And then it's yin and yang. They got to do their part to help them out, etc. So these moments can be devastating.
I think we're not there yet though, but I definitely think it is the part where it's starting to come into the back of your mind where how many more poor like home performances can this team afford before people just stop caring?
See, I'm not sure if I agree with you in the sense, and I'm not doom and gloom here, but like the casuals will be here, the forever faithfuls will be here, but like the people that sampled
from our first home opener or our first home win.
I know, but think about the people that didn't see that game. Maybe they were at the home opener, the original home opener. Maybe they sampled the Miami game, and now they've seen this game. Like they've seen 3 of the 6 games at home, and none of them have seen a goal.
So does that make the game on Friday a must-win game?
How dare you?
I mean, it is also a cup game, and I'd say a lot of fans don't actually maybe even know the distinguishing.
This is why I don't do these live with you to trap me like this.
Between like what is a Jägermeister Cup game and what is a league game. At the end of the day, they'll just see that it is a game against a local rival. And so if we perform well and we score goals and we win, then I think we can kind of like, slow our roll down a little bit. I think there's still, until we can string together a few good results, I don't think we can like say that like everything is fine. But you look at this game and think, I think they have to win. And it's not, a lot of it is because of the vibes around the club right now.
Yeah. I mean, I can't legally say it's a must-win game, but this game is very important.
It's a cup match.
It's a very important game.
You're allowed to say that.
It's a very important game. It's a very important game. So let's jump into the questions. For for form and speed again, because I'm sure some people are going to want to add in. And in fact, I see a really good question that I want to jump straight to, because I was going to talk about this in a little bit. So let's just try to keep these to 90 seconds or less so we can get all the people that are like throwing things in the chat as fast as possible. But I'm going to start things off here. Matthew Jean writes in, do you think the injuries that are happening this year to the club are due to training on a new surface or having a new trainer? Shots fired at athletic trainer Langston here. It's an interesting piece, right? Because, and I'm going to say this not because I know something, I want to be really clear about it, but I want to say that it is really interesting that this team reminds me right now of what the Tottenham Hotspurs went through in this last season, how Ange was accused of overtraining his team and that it caused more injuries than what was supposed to happen. We've seen in the game of soccer that sometimes teams that train too hard, train too long, do the wrong training exercises, rush players back, they get this injury bug and they can never get out of it. I think that there could be something to this, not again because I know something, but I do find it really ironic that all of our injuries, with the exception of Hugo Bacharak, seem to have occurred at practice and not picked up in game day knocks. Now, we could be completely wrong, and I'm uninformed here, so I want to make sure I'm not spreading the wrong information.
It could be a coincidence, right?
But at the same time, you almost have to take a step back now and ask yourself, why are all these injuries happening exclusively at Centerville Bank Stadium? Because we've been practicing there for 2.5-3 weeks before the season started. They were allowed to start going in there only to the field. They were, because the stadium was still being constructed around them. But they only spent the first 2 weeks at Wide World of Sports. Then they went and did their tour, and then they came back and they basically picked up the keys to start practicing at Centerville Bank Stadium. We were told by the general manager that with the heavy snowfall that they got after they laid the turf, it was perfect conditions to stabilize the turf, weigh it down, pack it in, all that jazz. I have not heard from players that they've ever complained about the turf. They always say it's a world quality pitch, but it could be just the fact that we're now practicing heavily on artificial surfaces. Last year at Burns Stadium, remember, we thought that maybe one of the reasons they never looked like they could gel on that field was because they were always practicing on the grass alternate site that was adjacent to the stadium. So like they never really always got all those minutes on the field. Now they're practicing every day at Centerville. Is this a case of like, is the turf a problem? Or to Matt's point, are we overtraining? Are we introducing new training regiments to our players? Are they working themselves too hard that these are causing these injuries? We heard from Maxi Rodriguez that he doesn't want to go up against Amos Shapiro-Thompson in one-on-ones. We heard from Chico. He doesn't want to go up against Frank Nadarce in one-on-ones on training. They could just be building each other up, but like if they're also playing with that tenacity, and I've seen them, they get evil. Like they get really mean to each other, especially when they have like the like Providence College guys fill in. Like there's no holds bar. Like it can get pretty scrappy. Is this maybe a possible thing that we need to ask ourselves? Like, does Conno need to like take a step back now and say, hey, like I'm on my second trainer. I don't know why T was not I don't know why T didn't stay. I don't know if she left or if she was let go, but like we had some injuries last year. We had Kofi was on a long term, Gabby was on a long term. All of our long term injuries minus Amos, they never came back. What's the story?
I don't want to give Kevin Callahan his kudos, but you did go way longer than 90 seconds.
That's fair.
I was going to make a joke about, don't we have space age technology, cryo freezing now in the...
Yeah, we have red light therapy, cryo stations.
Freeze them till game day. Just tell their wives you can see them on the weekend, so then keep them in top condition. I don't know, but really quickly, I do think there might be something there. It could be just a combination of all of those things adding up.
I think they're all lower body injuries, though, too.
I don't know. I mean,
I don't either.
It's an interesting observation. If at worst a coincidence,
there's no such thing. No such thing. Let's jump into this, though. Let's get the real question. Or do you have something to say? You look like maybe you had a thought.
Yeah, I mean, training is always going to be tough. I mean, I don't ever see any documentaries when it comes to like footballers that like say like, oh yeah, we take it easy at training, because I feel like they need to imitate or at least simulate what they might be getting at the game.
Like Eden Hazard, just hamburgers.
Or maybe that's just the Central South American side of me, that everybody just decides to beat the crap out of each other even at training. But like, I mean, it's one of those things where I feel like if you're training hard and you're showing grit even in training, that's that same mentality you're going to bring into the game where you already know. So like that's training should always be like that simulation to get yourself ready for that. Now, like, I don't think it's the trainer. I do sometimes feel like turf can be like a bit of an issue. I agree. Like, remember, like they were on grass at one point and then going into turf. And then a lot of people did say like, oh, they don't know how to play on turf because they don't play on turf. Now that they are, it's like the injuries are coming. So I'm thinking like, is it a coincidence or it's just the adjustment? Like it is a new home. They're probably still finding those nooks and crannies in there. Cause I mean, again, that could also be a really crappy excuse because I mean, teams are coming in here and they're beating us. So it's like they're still scoring goals.
But they're not practicing on our facility.
Right. But they're still coming in.
A lot of
like
other
I
teams
say,
play on turf too, though.
And a lot of teams are playing on turf as well. So like, I mean, it could be a factor of other things, but like
I need the chat to immediately pull up a stat and find out how many wins we have on grass this
season. Put a poll.
Versus how many losses we have on turf. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Coach is tactically set up well. He's just not anticipating the artificial surfaces. All right, let's jump into the next set of questions.
All right, Seth the Ref wants to know, now that we are halfway through the season, what are your thoughts on the new acquisitions this year? How have they fared compared to expectations? Who do you think has the biggest upgrade? Who surprised you the most, good or bad?
So I'm going to give flowers to a certain Tide Talk that did their like glaze or haze where they rated all of the player performances. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I hope they do that every so often. But in terms of the acquisitions, it's such a weird thing because your baseline is you have no baseline. Those were the players last year that
Ugo 10 out of 10.
Yeah, exactly. And then like you compare a Jack P loan. We haven't had a loan player. You compare Morris Dugan. Like it's hard to say. I think if you look at the sum of the parts and you understand the role that they had, we've been pretty good so far. You look at Okiyoshi as a sub number 6 or 8. He's exactly where we want him. He would be putting in the minutes he needed to put. I think Aldair has been a very bright star for us in the sense of something we didn't know we were going to have, let alone need. I'd like to see more assists come his way because I think he does the lion's share of work to get the ball in the mixer right now. But then you look at Maxi Rodriguez, not a bad player, but our expectations were probably too high. Right, I think the whole league's expectations were too high. After that, Rio Hope Gunn, incredible. 25-day contract extended. You love to see that. So what does that leave us? It leaves us Rivera, hasn't had enough minutes. Bacharach, who we haven't seen, and Dewhurst, and Aime's been probably the best acquisition so far. So yeah, so I think if you look at it that way in the individual performances, we've been above average, and Coach got almost all of them right. I think when you look at it and how they've made this team better, I don't know. Like, did we get a subpar Noah Fuson now this season for a mid to somewhat better Maxi Rodriguez, and we're not getting an excellent player out of either one of them? By doing this formation and seeing Jojea Quizera move to the right, has that benefited Aldair coming into this team? Those are the things I can't really answer, and I don't know that there's a way to go about it. Ervin, what say you?
I feel like what we have right now is kind of like I said before, like I feel like we've kept a good core of what we have. The acquisition wise, I feel like Aime has been great. I mean, I've already started like trying to pick up like songs of how we can do with him. He's like 6 foot tall, something like that. So otherwise, defense wise, good guy, and so it's surprisingly really, really good. I mean, Rio too. I gotta give props to Rio as well. I mean, like that guy is like for a better word in my eyes, guy's a thug, man. He guy could kill it. It's good.
If he wasn't a New Yorker, he'd be a 10 out of 10.
Right. Oh yeah, there you go. So 9.5.
Right. We had Turnbill. He was a New Yorker.
Right. So I mean, like so far the acquisitions have been there. I just feel like something's missing, and I guess that's like always the question that we're always gonna ask, just like what are the pieces that are missing? I know that he's not an acquisition, but because he didn't play too much last season until like the very, very end at the finals for like a couple minutes, Amos, he's been proven so far that guy is freaking killing it, man. Like we had him on Falso Nueve, and by the way, that guy can talk Spanish very well, more well than I can, and I gotta give him props on that. But he's been great. He's been great too. So I feel like on the pitch, like he's another one that I feel like that's a gritty player. So good start.
I feel like Amos can speak like 10 different languages.
Absolutely.
He strikes.
I could see it. I could see
probably.
All right. Seth the Ref also has a second question. Jason, how have the departures affected this team? Any surprises created by their absence? I mean, he's basically asking about Steven Turnbull and Morris Dugan, but what are your thoughts overall?
Yeah. I mean, I think those are the two notable ones right there. In regards to we've had a lot of flux in the right back position until Rio kind of came in and somewhat solidified that. But even then, he's not really. He's a like 6 at best, but he's not a wing back, right? He can kind of maybe push a little bit farther up to the field to distribute the ball, but you don't see him bombing runs down the flank and sending in crosses. And and that's perfectly fine because he's like you all said, he's done fantastic. But I think Steven Turnbill was able to produce on both sides of the field. Remember, was it 3 goals, 3 assists last year? And some of those were like big time goals, big assists. I think he started the attack against the Louisville game, the 5-2. I think it was really big that game. And there's a few others where he was very important.
I'm trying to pull. I thought I still had the Steven Turnbull dribble ratio, but I think I already got rid of it. Pay no attention.
Morris Dugan came a little bit later in the season, but very much a rock in the back. But I really don't think the back line is a problem this year in terms of we've got so many solid defenders. I mean, we played 6 of them this last weekend.
Still let in 2 goals though, so maybe.
Yeah, but I think part of that goes further up forward. If the tactics were right and we put more pressure on the team and we scored goals, maybe teams wouldn't feel like they could just run through us.
All right, next question.
All right. Andrew H here wants to know, what should I do with my season tickets now that I'm definitely banned from the stadium?
Ervin, what do you believe if people missed the home opener, missed the first win at Centerville Bank Stadium and now have only seen a loss? Those people are not allowed back in the stadium, right? Even if they're Defiance members. What say you?
I mean, superstition kind of you know what? I'm not even gonna say nothing because like superstition does definitely run in my family.
So they're banned. Sorry,
yeah,
everyone.
So Andrew, I'm sorry,
yeah.
You can't come back to the game.
That also means Kevin Callahan.
Oh, Kevin Callahan. Yeah. Just like, I mean, for Christ's sake, I've been wearing a.
There is one exception though, and that is our favorite #1 fan who listens to us, because she came up and asked because her parents didn't take her to the game and she wanted to go, so she missed the first victory. And her dad even said, I don't want to be a curse, but I heard you guys say that we may be curses. And I made sure to let her know she is not a curse because she couldn't legally take herself to the game.
Oh, no.
But her parents owe her something really nice now, at least an ice cream.
Oh, yeah,
ice cream. All right, next question here. Taras writes in, why did we start 5 center backs? So
oh, man. It's a new Captain
I'm
Crunch
starting
flavor.
to think last year is this an aberration of last year? I'm starting to think that this is bad. I'm also like, is it time to panic? Taras, it's a good question.
So I don't know for sure, but when I do look at that and try to extrapolate some kind of ideas out of that, in the game before, Nodarse had a really good game out on the wing. I think coach was hoping that he could replicate some of that. Then when you look at the fact that we had, was it both Zach and Amos go down before, I think coach wanted another 6 there to kind of sit next to Klay. And I think how I mentioned earlier, all of our center backs are very comfortable on the ball. So just put Grant Stoneman, recently just, extended captain, very experienced, comfortable on the ball. He is a good passer as well, too. He can bypass the midfield. He can play out to the wings there pretty well. So in theory, like it's not ridiculous, but in hindsight, it really didn't work. I think if anything, we just played into Sacramento's hand by playing so defensive. The way they do we see the way that they wouldn't even engage us when we were playing in the back? They would wait till we moved up to the midfield, engage the press, and then just try and counter us.
So I was actually talking at the break with the video analyst, Michael, and we're talking how Sacramento would do 10-minute spurts of high press, and then they would back off and wait till the ball came into the midfield. And we were talking like, do you think that's like midweek, endurance miles? He's like, no, it's them wanting to disrupt the natural flow, right? Like not to always assume that they can be comfortable building out of the back, being up, and then like sometimes they just lay off because Rhode Island FC would have to take it to them.
Their energy too, maybe, but it is a very good tactic in the sense of like make them think they're comfortable, let them play it around for a while, give yourself a bit of rest, stay strong in your formation.
Sacramento looks so good in that formation,
and then just start to hit them again.
This could
be feel like Coach said, make them feel uncomfortable.
We have to acknowledge we may become the Louisville City moment. We could be the Memphis 901 for Sacramento Republic right now.
They're going to go on a run.
We were in 10th when everything happened. So listen, you're welcome. You're welcome, Sacramento. All right, next question here.
All right. Mike M says, is AST carrying an injury or just a healthy scratch? Seems obvious now he needs to be on the pitch.
Wild that we're having this conversation, right? We wouldn't even talked about this 4 months ago. Does Amos Shapiro-Thompson need to be on this pitch? So I don't know, because we were only allowed to ask the one, and Coach wasn't really interested in hanging out and answering more questions. But he was at practice, but he wasn't engaged in practice. So take that for what you want. It could be, I don't know if the full extent of it could be a knock. It could be, it could just be, taking a precaution, or it could be an injury. I will say that from conversations I've had with players, we may have some other players that we've been waiting to see, like Mark Ibarra could be looking to make a reappearance now. He said he's almost at that place where he's ready to go. I mean, Danny Rivera has more minutes. I don't know anything about Zach either, but what we do know right now is Grant Stoneman is probably not going to play in this next game. That's never a good sign when you have to come off at the half like that.
Good thing we have 17 other center backs.
And so at that point, then, and it's so funny too, because last week we talked like what center back won't make this team. We were trying to figure out which one wouldn't make the bench because we had everyone healthy. And then surprise, it was every center back was going to play this game. So, but yeah, so I don't know for sure. I'll try to ask that question next week of AST if I can get to the practice session. I assume it'll be Thursday, so we'll know ahead for the Friday Jägermeister Cup match. But right now, like, just don't assume that he'll be available, and maybe we'll see more of this chaos for Jägermeister Cup magic. So Joe P writes in, playing wide and crossing into the box doesn't seem to work well for us. How long until we see a different attacking style develop? Is the counterattack game we excelled at no longer an option? Ervin, what say you?
Yeah, man, I gotta stop doing that. Because I feel like it hasn't really worked. I mean, we are all yelling, like, what are they doing? Like, who are they giving it to? I feel like it only works if, again, like we've spoken before,
JJ's there.
Well, yeah, or if we have.
I'm Embiid as a striker.
Jesus Christ, man. Do you want to give them a try? But I feel like we need either a good cam to be there to be ready to just shoot that ball, or be ready to head that in, or like in this case, I guess really Mabika just ready to head it in, or you just have to be ready to toss it, like not even over, just like side, like in, like really, really in, and just shoot it as hard as you can. And hopefully somebody could just tip it in. I mean, I know for a fact Chico can definitely do some like poaching and just pop it right in.
But so here's the thing, like I've noticed back to the disjointed midfield right now, is when we throw numbers forward, it seems like we have too many people on the back line trying to find the run. And then when the cross comes in, it's almost like a set piece at that point where we have the numbers in the box, but they're all in like the same area. And if a defender can position well, or the keeper's in the right place, we don't see the same effect of when a ball is headed, but let's say, it's a clearance or it's a punch out. We then don't have second runners because there's no bodies that are coming up from behind. There's no like true 10 that I would assume would stay more towards the top of the box and wait what would happen. So when we don't win the initial header, but we've committed numbers forward, there's nothing there. Or we don't commit numbers forward and like they just get boxed out anyways because they can't win the challenge. I don't know do you agree with that, or do you see something different, Jason, from how we've been set up? Because it's not just crosses too, right? It's like, and Lisa asks it a bit, it's also set pieces.
Yeah, I think the problem too is that it's like clearly Aldair Sanchez is a very good crosser. He learned from Sacramento, the school of crossing. And they're always pretty good deliveries. The problem is that I just don't think we're crashing the box properly. Like you mentioned, there's too many players in the same spot. There needs to be some spread out in case the ball bounces, deflects, goes somewhere else, kind of get some variety of options. Because the reality is not everyone needs to be, 6 foot plus, huge dude to be able to receive a cross, right? Because it doesn't always have to be a header too. You can catch it with your chest, catch it with your feet, take a touch, take a shot. They don't always have to be like headed options. It's just to quickly move the ball to a different position of the field, drag defenders into different positions, try and get yourself an opportunity to create a shot. We're just not attacking the box properly. They're either all too bunched up in the corner, like passing it back and forth, and then there's just no one in the box to actually attack it.
I saw a lot of players running into the same lanes in this last match, and I thought maybe it was because of the chop and change of how they had to reposition some of the defensive work, and like the players had to play a little bit out of their normal zones. But then Conno always says, like, my players, if they're good, and he believes they are good, I believe they're good, that they can play almost any role on the pitch. But like I saw a couple times, Maxi and Chico would stack up in the same run. Klay and Maxi would run into the same spaces. It didn't seem like they had, and I thought it was just, again, the formation was new to them, or at least the tactical part of it, that like they didn't get the memos, right? Like, no, you run central, I'll run far post, and it showed. It showed on the match. What's the next question here?
All right. Leo says, have we been relying too heavily on versatility of our individual players to achieve our desired shape and play style? Would having our players play strictly their strongest or primary positions help facilitate more cohesion?
I'm a big man, and I'm a big fan of playing the role that you want to play. I'm team Steven Turnbill. You want to be a fullback? You be a fullback, Steven Turnbill. None of this wing back for you. I think when players are more comfortable, they can do more. They're a little more confident. I think that when they experiment, they don't feel as at risk that they are going to fail at it. I think when they are pushed into new roles, as long as the coach doesn't come down on them and they tried the college try, like, okay, at the end of the day, I did beyond what was asked of me. But I do believe that we don't have, like you said earlier, we don't have Premier League players, Jason. Like, I'm sorry, I love all of these guys, but they are not good enough to play in the Premier League. And so asking them to do more is a nice thought. It's a great sense of faith. If it's that one-off game, it's like, hey, I don't have a 6 today, I'm going to ask you to step up in a big way. But this idea that like Conno went out and found a type of player versus the player in the position that he needed, I don't know that that's still working. It kind of ties all back to the tactic versus the individual performance at this point. I would like to see players play where they are the most comfortable, but also these players are never going to tell Conno no, right? Like, they're not like, oh, hey, if you don't put me in left back, I'm not playing for you today. Like, like there's a reason Gabby Alves isn't here anymore. I kid.
Oh man, shots fired. RIP.
But having said that,
team of the week.
At the same time, I would also say, Leo, as a question back to you, looking at this last week, this isn't fair because of the amount of players we had, but like, I'll ask you in the sense too here, Ervin, what players not being played in their position right now, holistically, with the exception of maybe Quizera needed to be inverted back, which sometimes when Noah's on the pitch, they free kind of float anyways, but only really Quizera not being in that left wing back, and then Frank seeming like, I don't think Frank's an issue. I think Frank and Klay are the two players that can play anywhere. But who are we playing out of position right now besides them?
I can't really think of anybody like that is like kind of out of it. I know what he's trying to say. Like, I feel like, we've heard before from Conno that like when he looks for players, or when he is in need of a player, they're looking for players that are versatile, that can play different positions. I sometimes feel like maybe that's a little bit too much to ask for. I mean, not to say that we're not the best league in the world, but like, we're in the end of the day, we're still la ve, we're still second. So like, to ask them to be like this high level, like, I feel like just playing them in their strong suit is just the best. I do believe everybody that's playing now is playing in somewhat their strong points. So like, I don't see that being an issue. Like, I don't see them playing in a position where they're just uncomfortable.
If anything, I would maybe argue that the tactics just aren't strict enough.
Right.
Like, I think when the ball's here, you're going to go here.
Like, you talk about how impressed we were with how Sacramento moved as a team. Like, I think there may be a lot of those players are playing in positions that they can play, but maybe the individual tactics for either the positions of like the back line, midline, or front line just need to be tightened up. I think there's maybe, when they get to the box, there's a little bit too much free jazz in terms of like, what are our actual structured attack? So the way that Sacramento would counter us, you'd see they pass the ball forward, they post back one, and then there'd already be runs making those options. You would go out to that. It feels a little more haphazard with the way that this team attacks. And I don't want to say it's like vibes, but it's almost like whatever is open or what's working.
So you're saying Coach Conno needs to stop playing scat jazz and needs to start composing Beethoven Symphony No. 9. That's what you're telling me right now.
I would say like maybe like he's just trying tactics. Like I said, like he wants versatile players. He wants players. So like I feel like to me the tactics are he's playing a tactic that may be putting them in an uncomfortable position. Not to say that they're playing in a position that it's making them uncomfortable. Maybe it's the tactic that is like too like, okay, I know what you want, but I don't know if I could do it in a comfortable way.
Yeah.
Like I can give it to you. Like I'll try to give it to you as best as I can, but like I'm
Listen,
not proficient to like take that.
I don't care if it was the heat. I don't care if it was the injuries. Our team looked slower and more lethargic than a team coming off of a midweek game playing in Alabama, which would have been arguably hotter. I don't even need to go to the temperature check on that. And again, to me, I think one of the new things that I'm going to start watching, we talked earlier in the year about set piece defending, which is ironic. It's the next question, but we talked about how players weren't tactically making the next step after contact with the ball had happened, right? Like what happens next? Where do you positionally need to be to set yourself up for success? I'm now watching this team where they'll do these bursts, they'll do these runs, and sometimes they just waste energy and momentum. Like I watched Klay come from basically a false 9 position, drop all the way deep to the back line to collect a ball to help break pressure, redistributed it out to Rio Hope Gunn, and then just took off to try to take, and then Rio just like he did his hands wide, like I can't kick that, so I'm just gonna recycle. And then like Klay just broke down and was like, okay, well, I tried something. But if you go back and watch this last game, at least recently, the players don't really do that. Like they don't move in to like create overloads or to create player density on one side of the field or the other. They stay very much in zones, and then they wait for the ball to come to them. And so when I said it earlier, when one player finally realizes that like they're under duress, there's no outlet besides Jackson at that point, then they run in. But like otherwise, they seem to wait for the player who has the ball to find the option, or then just to recycle it and try it again. And it goes back to like, do we have players of that caliber and that quality? I don't think we do. Next question here, Lisa V, who by the way said the funniest thing to me while we were at the stadium. When you said, oh, we set up as oops all defenders, she's like, yeah, I've never seen a 9-1-1 before as a setup. And I was like, that's genius. That's really good. So Lisa writes in, why can't this team defend set pieces? Jason, is this one actually a set piece blunder, or is this Jackson Wall? Is this Jackson Lee not setting his wall appropriately, getting the good read, and then just not getting to that block?
It's interesting. In regards to the way we defend some of our set pieces. The USL shows one and only Kaylor Hodges actually did a little bit of a dive. He didn't do a full-blown segment like he's done for some other teams, but he did do some research on our team. And we tend to like to front load the main box and let the goalkeeper get the back end. I don't know if I'm not, defensive coach set piece tactician. Maybe there's just an easy way to kind of counter that. If one of the two pieces are not doing their job, maybe we would be better suited with some sort of man marking or zone defense, depending on, the style that we want to employ. I would argue that, I love Jackson Lee, but I think he's been a bit maybe short on confidence this year. I don't know if that's
he doesn't seem to be the same player.
He doesn't seem to be the same player he was last year, where he just went out there and was just lights out. And you'd say like, if he could pass the ball the way Koke would, he would be the number one goalkeeper. And the only reason why Koke was like taking that at this point, I'd say that Koke's the clear number one keeper for us this year. Unfortunately, I do want to see Lee have a successful career, but I feel like he's in a bit of a rut right now.
Do you think he just disrespected the fact that he didn't think a 38-year-old player could do that to him? Do you think he just saw Roro and was like, you don't got that in you, old man. You don't got that.
I mean, also Roro's just a good player too, so you got to give him that credit.
Yeah, most people would say it was, and no, he still very much is a good player. All right, next question here.
And then next one here, Ben, my question is, how do we already have as many losses as we had in last year's full season, only about halfway through this year's campaign? Are we just that bad?
Ervin, are we that bad?
Oh man, they gotta make me answer this. I mean,
everyone complained last year. When are we going to stop drawing? Well, we've stopped drawing.
Yeah, I
mean, are you happy now, fans?
Careful what you wish for. Honestly, like this. I mean, not to say this is our fault, but like this is a bit of bad juju that we put on ourselves because of the whole draw kings thing. But I mean, I don't think we're a bad team. Like I said, I think we're a bad team. I think this season is just, and I think I've said this many times before, like I feel like we just put ourselves way too high because of last season's thing. I feel like if you really want me to be honest, and this is maybe like this is just kind of how I feel like this is kind of how we were supposed to be like in the first season, and we're just getting it now because we're in the new home. Because think about it, because we technically were supposed to be in our new home 2024. This was supposed to be our second season in the new stadium.
In the sense that maybe we just had some luck on our
side.
The fact that we were brand new, so sometimes it can be
and because sometimes football it's luck. Sometimes it is luck. And not
we're not allowed to say that word on this.
Oh, okay.
Every time we say luck, we get yelled at in the chat.
Okay.
There's no such thing as luck. It's all skill.
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, there you go. Well, so I feel like
they've clearly never played the game.
Not to say that we didn't earn 2024. We definitely earned it. We definitely pushed through boundaries and definitely pushed through a lot of adversity of just getting to the finals. Mind you, we didn't completely get the cup, but the fact that we got there the first year is definitely something to be proud about as supporters and as a team. And I feel like no one should ever get that taken away from them. Now, when it comes to now, I just feel like maybe this is start over. I mean, think about it. The champions now, where are they now?
They sold their entire team off. So I don't know that it's fair to compare Colo Spigs to us because they got their trophy and then they gave everyone their pink slips and said thanks for everything. Yeah.
Which is fair, but I mean, like in that sense, like where are the two champions of where are the West, where's the East? Like clearly we're both having kind of like struggling times. I mean, like sometimes it is the players that do it, sometimes it's the coaches that do it, but like I feel like sometimes it just happens when you get to that high, you're just like now it's your reset. Like right now you're probably looking for something.
To be fair, the record season setting team Louisville, we knocked them out last year. So having a good regular season doesn't guarantee you anything. If anything, you know, it's more fun over the long period of time.
Building the brand though. Yeah.
Building the brand and stuff like that is very important. But sometimes with, you know, the way sports are Americanized here in terms of soccer, you just have to get to the dance and you have to get hot at the right time.
Yeah. Interestingly, USL does not like fit this narrative, but it does for MLS. If you look back over the last 8 to 10 years of expansion into Major League Soccer, every single one of the teams that has expanded since Atlanta United joined has done, and New York City FC actually as well. They've all gone on to win in the first 2 to 3 years of their campaign. Some have done it in their inaugural season. I think that more is because of all the like weird roster mechanics of how you have to construct a team and like getting like all those resources all at once to build one team really well for like a 3-year stint. Like there's still plenty of time for this team to re-engage and demonstrate what they did last year, both in this season. I still think this is a winnable season, but also into the next. I think the difference here though is that we started so flat that teams did not respect us by the time they didn't realize the momentum we had built behind ourselves. And that was the real catalyst, right? Like you go into end of June before you can put up a string of consistent points. You're 10th place in the East. You're right next to Hartford. And it's like, okay, when they come to town, all we know is they don't have a punch. We just have to figure out how to score. And then suddenly we're putting up 3 goals against them. We're putting up those 2 goals against them. So I think it's more, we're now, like I remember going into last year, the 2 teams that were on my radar for games were Phoenix and Charleston because they were in the final in 2023. And we weren't a team yet when we watched that final at, what was it, Flynn's at the time?
Yeah.
Like those 2 teams, like, okay, when they come to town, watch out. I didn't understand how like fast rosters can just be imploded, but Charleston's always done a good job of kind of keeping their core pieces as well. And it shows now as they like, unfortunately just always have to go through Lou in the standings. So I think it's a combination of what you both said, but I also think that clubs have something to prove against a team like us. Like you don't get to go to the main event on your first year. We haven't done it in 10 years yet. You know your place in this league. Hartford Athletics.
I feel like what's his name? I Hate Your Club, the one that kind of does like
the Pittsburgh guy.
Yeah, I think he said it best. Like when we didn't win the championship, it was like, oh, this is like if you would have won it, then I feel like you wouldn't have earned it. I guess you can kind of.
I don't agree with that. No,
but like he did say, like
team.
Take your lumps, like, and
sure.
then eventually you'll get it. I feel like the Cinderella story will be better when we win it, when we earn it. I guess you could say. So like we are gonna go through some tough times. I feel like this isn't the last time we're gonna go through this rut. Soccer teams go through ruts all the time. So I feel like to like just enjoy it and keep supporting the team. I feel like keep being with your group. Las buenas a las malas, the good as the bad. That's simple as that.
Yeah. I think there's nothing wrong with asking more from your team, but at the same time, there's a balance of not being overly critical and realize that at the end of the day, there's always going to be ups and downs, and your team will be part of those downs as well.
Yeah.
So these next two questions are directed generally at you as the leader of Defiance 1636, but they're also D36 questions. So we're running down to the end of them. So if people have any new questions that they want to add into the chat, we'll start slotting those in to answer here. But these next ones are going to be for you specifically, Ervin. And I want to preface, I'm paraphrasing both of these because one, they were both written way too long and I couldn't fit it on the screen. And two, I didn't like the overall tone of one of them. Okay. So I'm trying to capture the essence of it without the actual components of it. So if you write a question in that I don't agree with, I'll try to find the best parts of it. But just know if I've paraphrased anyone's question in this, it's because I want to make sure that we always answer it in the best way possible. So Evan asked you, what should Defiance 1636's response to the inconsistency of play at home be, given that we aren't seeing wins? What is Defiance's responsibility in these moments?
I mean, our responsibility as a group, as many already know, we are a barra brava. We are la barra de Rhode Island. So I mean, we're a supporter group, and we're supposed to be there for the guys. We're supposed to be there to give them the support. I mean, like that's the key word in support group: support. I mean, like, again, we're babies. We are a 2-year-old club that is literally like, this is our second year. This is our second year, and this is our second year as a supporter group. So we're going to be there for them. Like, they need our support. Yeah, we can show our frustration, and we've spoken to them privately. I mean, if you're in 116, they come to us. They don't just like go away as soon as go into the tunnel or start signing the autographs. They come to us before they go to the autographs and explain to us, like, thank you for coming. We appreciate it. Some of them apologize. Some of them don't have to apologize. I mean, in the end of the day, they're giving their all. I've always said that, like, I've even said this to Koke as well. Like, all I want from them is aguante. Give me like a sweaty shirt. Give me grit. Give me that you want to win. And if the win comes, the win comes. And if it doesn't, then guess what? On to the next one. We're still going to be there. There are clubs out there, no matter what happens, they still pack it up and they're still in there. They're still waving the flag. They're still singing armbands and all. And I feel like, to me, that's what I expect for my supporters. I want them to feel prideful for the art. That's why we use the moniker Forever Faithful, no matter what. And I say this to everybody. I say it in Spanish. I say it in English. A las buenas, a las malas, to the good or the bad. Donde sea yo te sigo, everywhere I follow. Like, I feel like that is the proper way to do it. And we've talked to them before, firm, but respectfully. That's what they deserve. They deserve that. And maybe I'm going a little too long, but like, I feel like so far, everybody so far in 116 and not arriba, like, have shown like they've been respectful. They've shown what they mean. And all the players have spoken to them and said, we're sorry. We're going to do better. Because they know what it means to us to come to our home, what it means to come to play a game, what it means to come to La Cancha. This is our terraces. We want to be prideful of waving the flags and waving those talones, like that's what we want to be. Right now, yeah, it doesn't feel like we're winning a lot. But guess what? There are many teams that don't win a lot either at home. So we're here regardless.
Do you feel like there's an added responsibility for you as a leader and for the supporters group as, the quote unquote leading fans to step in at some point?
Oh, absolutely.
And if so, what do you have? Do you have like a system of like, okay, if we have 3 consecutive losses at home, is that when we step in? Is it a vibes check when like the stadium doesn't seem to be responding? Where do you then engage? Because I have heard, not just from this particular question asker, but I've heard, what does Defiance do? What does the supporters group in general do in those moments of duress, because like I think to, you know, not to bring them up because I know how much it boils your blood, but Hartford Athletic with their supporters group doing silent protests. And I want to be clear, I do not believe that we are anywhere near that in terms of operation, supporter group, player performance.
And I'll jump in. Like how many years and I'll just say it again, like how many years has Hartford been around?
Like their 6 year,
6 years, right? 6 años, right? And how long have they been playing like this for?
Most of that time.
Most of that time. Okay.
Playoff.
Tenemos 2 años, right? We have 2 years. Come on, it's not the same.
But so I guess no, where I'm asking then though, is it like, and that's the thing. Is this like, in your opinion, there's nothing that the club could do wrong in this second year because it's not enough time to grab the pitchforks. You need it at this stage. You need to be putting on a presentation of positivity, a presentation of support, and a presentation of forever faithful, as you say. Because like I think that's the big thing. Is like I heard some booing at the stadium. You know, I was more probably to the result than anything else. Was maybe the lack of goals. I don't know. Maybe they hated fireworks. Yeah. But like, but you know, I can easily start to see people start going, you know, Ervin, do something. We're not winning games, and to me, that's not your job. You know, your job. There's no place where you're going to motivate a player. Like Marky Barr is not going to go home and be like, Ervin, you know, really spoke to my soul today, and I'm so ashamed for him. I'm not gonna be able to sleep until I win a game for Ervin Vargas. Like I don't see these players taking that on their back. They want to play for the badge. They want to play for themselves. They want to get their next contract, but I don't see them ever responding to someone saying, hey, screw you, you're not good enough. I wish you weren't on this team and you shouldn't be here. Like to me, that's not support.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, and I feel like that's and again, like I come from a country that supports their team regardless. Like, trust me when I say that there are supporters that have not seen a trophy in their entire history. Like, for instance, like I'll just say the one that recently just happened. There's a team in Argentina. They call them Los Calamares, like the squids, basically. They have not won since their inception. They've been around for 70 years. They just won their apertura. And the fact that it meant so much to them showed that. Now, not to say that we're going to get a 7-year run where we're never going to win anything, but at the same time, those guys are still loyal. They still show up. They're very angry when they lose. And don't get me wrong that they do call for heads, but like they call for heads when it's time. Like, I don't feel like right now I'm not going to go after the president. I'm not going to go after Conno right now. I'm not. Like, if that's what you want from me, then like you're not going to get that.
Are you having dialogue with the front office? With the technical staff?
Yeah, absolutely.
Jason actually wants to know, what did you spend so much time talking to Koke about?
Yeah, I mean, so I did speak. So I spoke with Koke for about an hour, and a couple of things. I mean, like, you know, as Hispanics, we talk about a couple other things, but like I asked them, I'm like, how are the players feeling? Like, what is going on? Like, cause like I feel like something, like ¿qué está pasando en la mente? Like, what's going in the head? And he's directly said, and I'm paraphrasing here, but like he did say, like, yeah, they know they're screwing up. And the reason why they came over is because I told them to come over. And if you guys booed or told them off, they should eat it. They know they were going to eat it. They knew they were going to eat it. But guess what? None of them got disrespected. None of them got a spit in the face. No one got like chewed out too crazy. They did get an earful. Don't get me wrong. If you're not in the section, if you don't have the information, no hables, you know, don't talk. But like I feel like a lot of people don't understand like the relationship we have with the players. The players love us. The players love us and they want to give us back because in the end of the day, they know that the badge means a lot to us. It really does. To some, it's just, you know, a talking point on a space, but to us, it's a lot. It's life. I mean, I give it to everybody in my board. I give it to everybody. Matthew, Tim, Jerica, Heel, the rest of the band, like I give it all to them. Like they work very hard. We work very hard to make sure that people understand like this is the community we're trying to build, el cultura, the culture that we're trying to build. They know that, and the players know that because we speak to them often off the pitch when it's a respectable time to do it. But at the end of the day, they're still human. They have family. They're trying. They really want this. If you think that they're coming here to just lose, you're crazy.
I don't know any player that's ever done that except for the movie Major League.
Yeah, like, oh, I'm not here for the star. I'm just here for the small paycheck. Yeah, come on, man, please.
You know what I would say really quick, and you know, you're the leader, you obviously would know this, but maybe for clarification for some fans thinking about it, the role of a supporters group is not to necessarily call out the players so much more than to call out like the team in the front office. When you look at the Hartford, the message wasn't necessarily directly to the team. It's to the front office who hasn't been probably taking that team very seriously in their last 6 years. And then in another recent event, what happened a few years ago when the Galaxy called out their front office for 10 years of mediocrity? They fired Chris Klein. They got some investment in, and then they won a title. Right? It's usually the frustration is aimed at the actual front office. Right. The reality is, like Ervin said, these guys don't go out there to lose. Yeah. If there are players who maybe like clearly are not trying and not giving their all, I mean, it's a difference. Like maybe they're just having a hard time gelling and they're frustrated. It's just not going their way, as opposed to them literally not trying.
Right. I appreciate that you omitted what's happening to the LA Galaxy this year. I like where we stopped the story there. So then, Ervin, in that case, and I agree with Jason on that. Wrap up to this question here. Yeah. When we talk about the front office accountability, are they? And I don't want to get you in trouble, so just be careful.
I won't.
Are they doing everything that feels like you're being supported? Because I know there was some situation that developed here on this last game. And then also I've noticed that we are yet to see a second pretzel stand or a mobile pretzel vendor. So how is your relationship overall with the front office staff right now? And if you wanted to use this platform to convey a message or just give fans the general understanding of your relationship, like how is that all working out? Have you heard anything yet about the Hartford trip yet on the away side? Like, I'd be curious what you know about those things.
So I am always in talks with them. Like I'm always in talk with the front office when it comes to the stadium setup. I mean, as we're going into Portland, I want to bring out the TIFO. We have an all-year TIFO that we love to show to people, and it's an intimidating thing to do. And on top of that, we have a TIFO for Hartford. As it doesn't matter, it's a prime time television. We're going to be at 4:00. It's going to be awesome. Lots of smoke, lots of pyro. That's to us. That's the derby to go for. Everybody's going to know about Defiance and why we're a ruthless supporter group in the USL. And if not one of the best supporter groups in New England, like that's our stage basically. So yeah, we're talking. And if you guys think that it's sunshines and rainbows with them, no, sometimes it's just arguing. It's bickering and moaning with them. It's just like trying to get understanding. Like we want to go back and forth, and sometimes we disagree. Sometimes they disagree with us. Sometimes we disagree with them. Like we definitely have dialogues, but that's a healthy relationship. If it's all sunshines and rainbows, something's wrong. There's definitely something wrong. You don't have a good
winning every single game, and
right. Well, yeah. If you're winning every single game, there really isn't much to talk about besides like, hey man, can I bring a Roman candle in? Like that's pretty much it. Like that's all I'm really having a conversation with. But like
you're gonna get double searched from now on.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they're definitely searching me now. Wink, wink. But yeah, I mean, like right now, the front office knows their place. Like they know that we're doing our own thing, they do their thing, and then if we can help each other in certain things, then we will. But like they don't really dictate what we kind of do. Like we kind of do our thing, and as long as we do it safely and the proper procedures, then that's fine. But like after that, they're doing a couple things that are going to be on the way that we've had conversations with. We have meetings with them. We want to boost the environment of the atmosphere that's there. We want to feel like this is our home, regardless, again, the buenas a las malas, the good or the bad. Like we want still people to feel like, hey, regardless of where you are, you can sing with us. You can be a part of this.
Jason, not you, Jason, in the chat reminds us we've had a lot of rainbows at the stadium this year. So things have been all rainbows, and yet here we are. And then also some demands for more bucket hats, by the way. So you may want to take that as a note for the Defiance bucket hat.
I know.
Going back here a second in the chat, Tim asked a question. It was a serious question at that. I hit the wrong one there. Let's pull that one out. Did the team set the bar too high in this season one, making the finals? And should we have expected a sophomore slump to begin with? Jason, what say you?
I mean, potentially. I mean, we set our sights for home playoff berth. The USL, there's a lot of parity in the USL, especially if I don't know if anyone paid attention to the results on Friday night before our game.
How like every team that shouldn't won ended up winning. Yeah.
So Louisville finally lost. So there's still time. I think there's a lot of doom and gloom, but like what are we in 8th place right now? Like and we're trying to burn down this team apparently, like in our second year. Like, if you also step back and take a look at it, like, it kind of feels absolutely ridiculous how much like crazy we're going. And like, maybe we did get a little too, high on what we got last year. I mean, we went to a final in our first year. I mean, that's pretty wild.
I had a great time. At Cool Speaks.
I have a picture of you not having a great time at the end of it.
Absolutely.
But,
You don't think I was mad at that game? I really
know.
was, but I had to tell everybody, keep playing the drums, put your scarves up. We're not giving up.
When
on
we were
regardless.
doing the social media wrap-up post for it, there's a pan-up picture and everyone's chanting, and you're just arms crossed staring at me like I refuse to look happy in this photo right now. And I enjoyed every minute of it. All right, then let's wrap up with this other question, and this one's from Amanda, and this one I think needs a little more context, because even I was surprised as I saw it in there, and I know it's coming from a place of love and support, but Amanda wrote in on the Discord, how hurtful was the silence from Defiance and La Banda to this team's morale? There was no man of the match, and if you can expand on that too, because that was interesting. The players didn't come out after the fireworks. Again, we had reported that they basically vominosed right after the press release. It didn't feel like this was very Forever Faithful. And I think she's saying it more from the total game day experience, not necessarily something particular to Defiance. But can you walk listeners through what happened? Because I think some people were like, oh, what is going on? We noticeably, I didn't hear as much from La Banda on that game. Wasn't quite sure. So what was going on with Defiance in that moment?
So unfortunately, La Banda had a bit of an issue to come through, and only maybe like one or two of them came in late due to some incidents in the background. Like, like these guys, again, I like to make sure that people, again, are informed before making a comment. But like, they do work pretty far. A lot of them are construction workers, they're landscapers that work in the Massachusetts area and like deep in the Massachusetts. So getting here on time is a bit rough for them. So sometimes we do give them a bit of like a leeway. And unfortunately for this game, they are, as the weather does get better, sometimes it does get rough for them to come through. So they do apologize. They have reached out to me and they say they're very sorry that they weren't there. They're definitely going to try to come in at full force for the Friday game because they know how important it is. And we're just trying our best. And this opens up the gate as well. If you do have anybody who's interested in being a part of La Banda, we're always expanding and growing La Banda. So like we can teach you. We can get you guys an instrument. We want you to be a part of the group.
What if you have no coordination musically like I do?
Like, we'll try something. We'll do cowbell or something. I don't know. But they were a bit disappointed, but like, and so was I. I mean, like I wanted to make sure the drums. So that's why I hopped on one and Heel hopped on one as well.
But that wasn't a silent protest or anything.
It was not. No, if anybody thinks it was a silent protest, then no. These guys love RFC, but sometimes family always comes first. I always tell people when some things are more important than soccer, and familia is one of them. And these guys work very hard Monday through Saturday to provide for their family with only one day off. So when they do show up, give them love and clap for them and show them support, because they truly do love this, because they're coming from a hard day's work, 9 to 5, and it's mostly all hands work to come play drums for you guys for 90 minutes. So if you do see them, dale abrazo, give them a hug, give them a beer, because they'll definitely take that, and just give them some love, because they're definitely there to show La Aguante too. They love this team.
And then anything around the man of the match?
The man of the match, unfortunately, like that was something that we are fighting with front office right now about what happened that day. It will not happen again, regardless of win, lose, or draw. I think at least giving recognition to at least one player that everybody has voted for, that truly saw the dedication, that Aguante deserves it. So Rio actually did win man of the match of that game. So we're going to deliver to him personally, and we're truly sorry to one of our members, Pawtucket J, that wasn't able to hand deliver it to him, because he was the one that was picked. So that
was the thing that, like, when I heard about it and the reasons behind it, and and I get it, like the players, and every time they've had to take a paddle on a loss, like they're just disgusted with themselves. But like I think what the players don't realize, what the front office doesn't realize, what the fans maybe don't realize, is that like that is still like that is the symbiotic relationship between these two entities. Absolutely. And even more so, like these are also those opportunities for the fans that have been selected to go and experience that moment. Like I've seen their children be part of that as well, and like then to not get to do that, like that is devastating.
And mind you, Pawtucket Jay was if for those of you guys that don't know, him and his brother actually stayed behind last year to protect all of our banners during the derby. So we know he does a lot after it as well. Like he is a tough guy. He's always at the watch parties. He's always there to help. If he needs to set up, if we need to take stuff down, he's always there. So we're very sorry. He definitely deserves it. Like that guy is awesome. So he will definitely get his chance again. Don't you worry.
Yeah. So I hope that, as I know the club does listen to us. I don't know if Conno does, but I know the club does.
He doesn't have time.
I hope they understand. I hope they understand the significance to the members and the diehard fans and how important it is directionally from the supporter group, not just the players. So, okay. Well, then those are those questions. I don't see anything else new in the chat. Just a lot of heated comments. There's been a battle going on tonight inside our chat space, so that's fun. It's welcome, and appreciate everyone's contributions. But since I don't see any other questions, Ervin, what's the final word from you on what's going on with Defiance? What's going on in the next couple of games through this homestand? Is there going to be any kind of connection to the Hearts of Pine supporter group, the Dirigo Union? And then maybe also give us an update on what's going on with the Major League Rugby support as well.
Yeah. So I mean, so this week is going to be a whole lot of fun. It's gonna be awesome. So for the first time, we're gonna have a double march. So we're gonna have a Dirigo Union marching with us to the march of the match. Because we've gotten a good relationship with them. They were kind enough to come to one of our games to kind of like learn a little bit about what we do as a supporter group and kind of take it to Dirigo Union. And I don't know if you guys seen the videos of what they've done so far. It's phenomenal. They're doing great, fantastic. I applaud them. And to this day, I've told them, if you need any help, please reach out to me. And we've been talking back and forth. So we thought, you know what, this game, there's no ill, there's no blood, there's nothing. So they're going to be at the tailgate. I think they've already said they're bringing about like 50 plus people. So that's a good turnout. We brought 50 plus people to the rainy Portland game for the US Open game. So it's awesome to see a lot of them there. So they're going to be chilling with us. They're going to be hanging out with us. And they're going to do the march. And after that, it's 90 minutes of fun.
Do we know if Moxie the Moose is going to be here?
Dude, if he's there, it's going to be fun.
I think it's she.
Isn't
it a she moose?
Is it a she? I don't know.
I don't know. I thought it was a she moose.
ChatGPT that.
We'll have to figure that out.
But yeah, if the Moose is there, then it's welcome as well. And I think Chip will have a good friend. But yeah, we're really excited to invite them over. As for MLR, for those of you that signed up to get tickets, we can't wait. The Free Jacks did it and they made it to the finals. That was awesome. Besides the delay on ESPN, that was kind of whack.
Yeah, they missed the final play. That was
final play. But either than that, we can still hear them that they missed. And they won 21-20. It was an amazing rugby game. It was my first rugby game. I actually got to sit down and watch that. So indulge. It was really, really fun. So
they're playing Houston, I think.
They're playing Houston. Yeah. So it's gonna be
Cats.
So this could be their back-to-back championships. So like, and now doing it in New England to be like home here in Rhode Island, it's going to be really, really fun. So it's going to be my first final of a rugby game. It's going to be my first live rugby game. So a lot of us are interested in seeing how that goes.
So two questions. One, back to the Hearts of Pine match for a second. Are you going to talk to Nathan Messer after the match and ask for his jersey? And then can I have it for the podcast?
Sure. That's fine. Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Because I won't make it down there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Second, back to the MLR piece. I know that this was a coordination with Major League Rugby to give some of those passionate fans in Pawtucket an opportunity to see this. But I guess the coordination here, is there anything on game day that you'll be doing different? I think the Free Jacks have like a supporters group. I don't think they call it that. It's just like a dedicated group party.
Yeah, they have they call themselves the First Regiment. They have songs. They are considered a supporter group. So they will be at the M7 lot where we usually hang out. And of course, there also is going to be a fan fest the day before the game. And
we're all at the
we're all gonna be there. So like, meet us at the game. But we're definitely gonna set up a tent very early. Come say hi, and it's gonna be like live on ESPN. So like, come and party with us and just have some beers and just let's enjoy some rugby. Like that's gonna be awesome. And yeah, I mean, like for that, like those two events are gonna be fun. I mean, yeah.
And if the Hearts of Pine game goes to penalties, will you be taking shots at Glory?
You want to take Jaeger?
That's the rule. I mean, it hasn't happened yet.
So then, yeah.
The standing rule is if we go to penalties, we take out Jaegers and
put it in a cupcake, and I'll do it.
No.
No, it has to be real shots.
Real shots.
Make sure it's cold then.
Of course.
Gotta be cold.
All right. Well, Ervin, thank you so much for joining us. As always, it is such a pleasure to kind of see the little peek behind the scenes of the tremendous work that you guys do. Is there anything off the pitch that you want to talk about? Is there anything that like fans should be getting made aware of so they can invest time? And if it's not related to a game, because I know you guys are both an on and off kind of community support team.
Yeah, we do have a couple community things that we're about to do. We're finalizing on a couple things, but we do have a couple summer activities that we're gonna be doing, a couple back to school activities that we're gonna be doing. But as everybody knows, I mean, this is a little bit off the topic, but like if you guys have any ideas, if you have something to say to me, I don't hide, so I'm right here for you. So I'm here to take it, and let's talk for sure.
Ervin Vargas, president of Defiance 1636. We'll see him back in action here this Friday. Jason, what's the final word for Ervin, for yourself, and to get us out of here?
Gracias, El Presidente, for joining us on tonight's pod. Definitely a fun one. Second week in a row of having guests on the mailbag.
Don't used to it.
Don't get me too used to this. It's too much fun.
I'm back next week. Don't worry about it.
All right. And that's including RFC. Then that's at theblazingmusket.com. You can follow us on Twitter, Threads, TikTok, and Blue Sky at RAFC Podcast. We have an Instagram at Raising Anchor. We got that website, raisinganchorpodcast.com. Anchor's up, y'all.
Anchor's up, forever faithful. What do you got?
Siempre fiel. Vamos. Let's go.